StockPulse Newsroom talking TDG Gold Corp today. That's TDG on the Toronto Venture Exchange. In the news lately with a nice gold intersect at their Creek Zone on the Shasta Project, the Toodoggone district in BC. We'll run through the details of that news, a little update on the company. I've got CEO Fletcher Morgan. Fletcher, I appreciate you taking the time here. Certainly a nice piece of news here, a nice intercept here at 34 meters. I'll have you get to that maybe before we do, though. I want you to catch investors up on how you ended up in 21.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me on the show today. And look, last year, 2021, was our first year operating up in the Toodoggone. It's a pretty hot district here in British Columbia. It's to the east of the Golden Triangle, which I'm sure a lot of your audience are familiar with already. The Shasta Project, which was our focus, is a former producing high-grade gold and silver mine. It operated through to 2012. It was a combination of small-scale open pit and underground mining, and the mill that is located at our other project around 7 kilometers away by road. The last ore that went through that mill was from Shasta. So it made a really good starting point for us last year to establish our operating footprint in the Toodoggone, and really get to grips with a project with obviously a level of understanding that we felt meant that we could get in there straight away, start putting some holes in and start validating some of that historical drilling that took place, looking at those results, some of the mineralization that was left that wasn't mined out. And fortunately, we've been publishing those results from the beginning of the year, and it's just been, I think, if you go and look at our news releases, you'll see it's got those fabulous qualities of consistency, grade, and some sizzle in there as well, meaning some exploration upside and targets coming up in 2022. And if you want me to, dive into it a bit more, it really is a case of there was a couple of known, structural controls at the Shasta Project. So we wanted to start around those and really start to test the mineralization that was left. The results, I think, speak for themselves. In the 1990s, it was known that around the high grade that the small scale mining operations were seeking, there was the tens of meters of halo style mineralization. It was known in the 90s. Our neighboring companies that have been drilling around there have also been demonstrating that. We've been fortunate enough to obviously demonstrate that as well. Results anywhere from 30 up to 190 meters of mineralization, typically in the 1 to 2 kind of gram per ton range. And we're looking at revisioning the Shasta Project as an open pit opportunity, bulk tonnage opportunity. And so through that lens, those kind of grades with the infrastructure we've got in place, we're optimistic will be economic, and that we can drive the Shasta Project through to a production decision within the next 2 to 3 years. The good news is, as we've drilled, we've not only encountered that tens of meters of halo style mineralization at medium and lower grade, we've also managed to snag into some really exciting areas that presumably they were probably on a mine plan back in the 90s and early 2000s, but for whatever reason they didn't get into mining. So our most recent results that we published included 34 meters of just under 8.5 grams gold equivalent. As a combination of gold and silver, we're roughly kind of 65-70% gold, 30 to 35% silver. And those results, that drill intercept there was as part of a longer intercept of 76 meters of, around 3.5 grams gold equivalent. And that was right near to the historical small scale underground and open pit workings. In other words, if you were going to start mining, there's no better place to start than around there. And then we also did something else, which I really encourage people to take a closer look at. We stepped out 700 meters to the south, where historical drilling had taken place, but they'd snagged into the 1, 2, 4 kind of meters of 2, 4, 6 grams. So nothing to be to be ashamed about. Those are good results, but there wasn't really ever the continuity historically from the drilling down there to really tempt them to go mining there. Well, we went down there, we changed the orientation on the drilling based on some analysis we'd undertaken in 3 dimensions, and we snagged into a bonanza grade area, which gives us the hope and expectation to get back up there this year and start filling in the gaps between where the concentration of our drilling down to that 700 meter step out. There's known historical intercepts all the way in between, and we got to get back up there this year and fill in the gaps. But just to sort of give you a flavor of what we found down there, our headline was just over 60 meters of 17.5 gram gold equivalent. Within that was 1.5 meters of 50 gram gold and just under 5 kilos of silver. So Shasta has always tantalized those people that have worked there. Some of the previous historical mining, they really, really knew what they were doing. Fortunately for us, it was small scale, and they left a lot of it in situ. And really what we did in 2021 was just start to lift the lid on what was left, and also then try to understand if you were going to link things up into that step out area, one of those outlying areas. And we got 6 outlying areas in total. We tested 1 last year and hit bonanza grade in it. And so really the questions we're now asking ourselves is, what does that mean for the other 5? Can we get back out there this year? And can we, achieve similar success through that combination of science and additional knowledge that we've gained from the drilling last year? So, Shasta, I can summarize it really, really easily for your audience. It's you got the beautiful blend of open pitable potential with continuity and homogeneity. It's similar mineralization through where we've really drilled. We walked into the season thinking we were going to test 60% of the obvious footprint at Shasta. We walked out of the season thinking that we've really only tested 30% of it. So there's still room there. And this year, in terms of catalysts, what do we do next? Well, we're working towards that maiden resource estimate, 43,101, for Shasta. I'd like to be up there. Some of my neighbors are already drilling. We have a 50-person fully winterized camp. We can drill all year round up there with the road access. So I'd like to be up there sooner rather than later. And then get drilling again, fill in the gaps up there, and then test more of those outlying areas. And whether, we're aiming to get a resource estimate out in Q2 of this year. Whether we can achieve that, given the quality of information we've got versus the historical, is up to the modelers to tell us. But I would certainly be thinking that at the very least, we'll get something out later in the summer on the back of the second phase of the drilling that's coming up. And I'm just excited to get back up, and I think your audience can expect more of the same as we delivered in 2021.
Okay, quite the update there, Fletcher. I guess before I let you go here, let's get a health check on the company. How's the treasury looking? How much fuel's in the tank to carry it out? And talk about the share structure here. I know we talked off air here, putting your money where your mouth is with some of these projects. I think you're the prime example here. So why don't you lay that out for us?
Yeah, sure. So currently just over 78.5 million shares issued and outstanding, and so some warrants and options in there as well. There's been no free shares in this company. Every share has been paid for with real cash, including my own. Your audience can go and check my own SEDI filings and see that for themselves. I own just under 1.5% of the company personally. Right now, and management and insiders collectively just under 5%. We've announced recently a financing. It's mainly institutions. It's institutionally led. We'll be welcoming a couple of new, good institutional names as shareholders, significant shareholders. That raise that we announced is $10 million is the target. We expect to close that within the next few weeks to then give us the treasury to get out there and explore. As of right now, we're down to less than $2 million in treasury, a chunk of which is flow through dollars, which has to be spent on exploration. Then the 10 million we're raising will give us a budget this year of around 8 million flow through dollars to spend, and then around $1.5 to $2 million of hard dollars to maintain the corporation and do things like marketing and get out there and start telling the story. This is a new story. We listed, our listing event was December 2020. So we're just over, a year and a quarter into this journey, and some of our results, I think, our results speak for themselves. But and more of the same, I believe, to follow.
Okay, a lot to pay attention to, so appreciate that update. Again, that's Fletcher Morgan. He is the CEO, TDG Gold Corp, TDG, Toronto Venture Exchange. Again, Fletcher, appreciate the time. We'll look forward to checking back in when you have some more news to report.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks for your time today.